I wouldn't be able to stand here today and tell you this story. So, I've been saved now for 6 years. Come from a family of non-believers at the moment. Yeah, I was a wild child. I was an MC, garage MC.
Oh yeah.
Used to walk around with some solid and heartless crew. My name used to be Entice. And I had quite a bit of money when I was 17 to 18, 19, 21. I won 100 with a tattoo called Murder on his arm and a couple of guns in the back of the car. We used to go on robberies together. And we used to hit Birmingham and Manchester. I kid you not, I don't recognize it. No, seriously, and you know, I never got caught. We used to do fraud, like we used to print £20 and £50 notes and go and spend them. And I used to think, Crime Watch is going to have me this Sunday. You know, my heart would pound, I'd be looking at my mum, and she's Italian, and I thought, But no, coming back to it, so I got so broken when we broke up. He was having children with other people whilst living in my house. You know, found out because they drove to my house. I knocked on the door, babies in arms and stuff. And you know, as funny as the story sounds, it took me to a point of wanting to end my life. To the point where I grabbed a broken mirror one time and cut all my arms because the pain of the cut gave my heart some sort of release at the time. But I've got no scars anymore because my Redeemer lives. I took it all away. And I got into when I got saved, it was radical, you know. Jesus saved me and it was radical. And I was preaching in Jamaica 5 months later, preaching to the poor, feeding the homeless and you know, speaking life over the sick. And I just thought, how can I hold back this miracle from the world? Unfortunately, I ended up in a very legalistic church. They preached law and they preached grace. Now, who knows that you can't mix the two? Because when you're under the law, sin will be so much more appealing. And that's where I fell. I was in the praise and worship team for 5 years. And I was such a broken soul in such a big church, under a pastor who was so condemning and legalistic, and he used to beat us with the sermons and make you feel so bad. You'd hit the altar every time, but you'd go home and still not feel forgiven. So I found solace in another girl who was in another church. Her name was Keisha. She was a rapper too. And she was so broken because her pastor was the same. And I'd never had a best friend before because I always rolled with guys, because I felt like they were the only ones who didn't look at you in a way where it was like, who are you? And it's all this cattiness, you know. I felt like guys were just cool to be around. And this girl became my best friend and she was there for me and we prayed together. But what started to happen was, the more time we spent, the more darts the enemies fired at us. 2 people who were on fire for Jesus. Unfortunately, and so shockingly, when I stand here before you today, I can't believe it was me. We fell in love with each other. And who knows, that is like, I can almost hear the silence right now as I say it, because I can't believe it was me. I'd never battled in that area before. But she was the only person in this humongous church that was only really filled with Christ. So I didn't fall in love with her, I fell in love with the Jesus that I saw in her. But the enemy twisted it and turned it, and we were so confused because we felt like we're going to hell. And we were. You know, we were on our faces, and it's so unheard of. And it's such a taboo subject in the church. And I thought, how can this happen to me? The enemy would lie and say, yeah, you were never saved, you know. But I was just so alone in this place. So we decided that we were going to end it because we couldn't come to the church people because they were Pharisees and we would have been stoned to death. And it's such a subject that I know is unheard of, but I have heard God tell me to share this story because it's happening in our churches today. It's a spirit, and it will jump on you faster than you can hit the floor. You know, and it jumped on me. With a name like Entice, I didn't battle in that area. I did not battle in that area. I used to be the one who would gasp at, did you hear about Pastor so-and-so? He committed adultery. I was gasping. I was so filled with pride And the spirit of a Pharisee, I was probably backslidden before I even met the girl, and the enemy just wanted to take me out fully with her. But I stand before you today with this story that still brings a tear to my eye, because we were going to end it all. We wrote notes to our parents, and we wrote notes because we used to stand before God begging him to deliver us. But all we needed to do is fall at the cross and at the grace and what he paid for, rather than the religious sermons that used to get spewed all over us. So we did. We separated in a place called Freedom House, filled with Christians who we shared with, and it would be months after condemnation and shame. I've never felt so guilty and dirty in all my life, because this was not going to happen to me. If you'd have told me that this was going to happen to me, I'd have laughed at you and said, yeah, like I'm going to win the lottery next week. It can happen to any one of you, because sin is sin. There's no greater, there's no less, there's no you're dirtier than me, or you've fallen more times than me. Jesus said, it is finished. And here I am as a product of it is finished, saved and delivered. So praise be to the one who set me free. Amen. I've never felt the same again. I was reborn. And I just want to sing some songs. So thank you.